أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آله الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. And finally for this evening we come on to the third sentence, وحزبه. Hizb means is a group with a single objective. When we say this is a hizb is a group with a single objective. Ayatollah Jawadi then adds something. He says, the scholars of language have also said, some of them have also said, that hizb is not only just with a single objective, but it has some kind of intensity. It is working towards something. It is determined. So a hizb really would be a group which is unified on a single objective, also determined, with an element of sort of facing a conflict. So here what we are saying is وَحِزْبِهِ, peace be upon the determined group of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They almost are warriors in the path of Allah. They have a determination. They are sort of facing a conflict. Now what are the characteristics of a hizb? This Agha Jawadi brings from Surah Mujadila. Surah Mujadila, the final verse, verse number 22. In Surah Mujadila, Allah describes the characteristics of such a group. I won't go through the verse and tell you the Arabic. You can look at the Arabic for yourselves, but it is as follows, 6 points. Number 1, they have strong faith in Allah and the Day of Judgment. Number 2, they will never befriend the enemies of Allah and the enemies of the Prophet, even if those enemies be their own parents, children, or siblings. This is all from the verse. This is Surah Mujadila, verse 22. So strong faith in Allah and the Day of Judgment. Not befriending the enemies of Allah and the Prophet, even if those enemies be their own family. Number 3, their faith is firmly established in their hearts. Number 4, they are helped spiritually by Allah. Number 5, they will be entered into heaven. Number 6, Allah is happy with them and they are happy with Him. Now, as is obvious, as we've discussed many times, the Imams have all the above, all of these things, these 6 points that we have mentioned, they have all of them. Not only do they have them, but they have them to the highest and maximum extent. For example, look at this hadith that we have in Bihar that is narrated from Umar, no less, the second Khalifa. He says that the Holy Prophet said, so he's narrating from the Holy Prophet, if the earth and the skies were to be placed on one side of a scale, and the faith, Iman of Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam was to be placed in the other side of the scale, then the Iman of Ali would be heavier and superior to all of the heavens and the earth put together. Now, not only that, but also whatever others have is also from the Imams. As we said before, Allah has a system. His system is that He gives things to Aimma alayhimus salam, to the Holy Prophet. Then from there it spreads to everyone else. So here Agha Jawadi brings another hadith again from the Holy Prophet. He says, A'atallahu aliyan min al-fadli juz'an. Allah gave Ali alayhi salam a part of grace. Okay? لو قسم على أهل الأرض. If that part of grace of Ali was to be distributed, separated, made into pieces and distributed, ala ahlil ard, to all of the people of the earth, to all of the trillions and billions of people that have walked on this earth, if it was to be separated and distributed to all of the people on the earth, then what would happen? They would all be able to take a share of that grace that Allah has given to Amir al-Mu'mineen. In other words, the grace of Amir al-Mu'mineen is more than the grace that can be handled by all of the inhabitants and those who have walked upon this earth, the millions and billions and trillions of them. And similarly, this is the same hadith, similarly, Allah has given him a kind of sense of deep understanding. And the same applies to that if that was also distributed, then that would also fulfill everybody. It would go around everyone. No one would be left out. That's how much grace Allah has given Amirul Mu'mineen. Thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we are Shias of Amirul Mu'mineen. Now let's have a look at the Quranic discussion. The Quranic discussion on Hizb is very interesting. The Quran states that people are basically in one of two groups, one of two Hizbs. Either you are in the Hizb of Allah or you are in the Hizb of Shaytan. And here we have a hadith again. Hizbu Aliyin Hizbullah. The Hizb of Ali is none other than the Hizb of Allah. Wa Hizbu A'ada'ihi, and the party of the enemies of Ali alayhi salam, Hizbu Shaitan, are the party of Shaitan. We have also a hadith from Hazrat Salman. Hazrat Salman says the following. This is in Bihar as well. There was never a time when I visited the Holy Prophet except that he would strike me between my two shoulders. In other words, he would pat me on the back and he would point towards Ali alayhi salam and he would say, "This man and his party are the successful ones. Ya Salman, hadha wa hizbuhu humul muflihun." And the Hizb of Allah, which is also the Hizb of Amirul Mu'mineen, the Hizb of Allah and the Hizb of Amirul Mu'mineen are always victorious, and the Hizb of Shaitan are always the losers. We can see this in the Holy Qur'an. So I'm going very quickly. There's so many references, but I'm going very quickly. Allah inna hizballahi humul muflihun. You should know that surely the party of Allah, they will always be the successful ones. Fa inna hizballahi humul ghalibun. The party of Allah will always be the victorious ones. And regarding the party of Shaitan, Allah inna hizba shaitan humul khasirun. The party of Shaitan, they will be the losers, and they are the losers. Innama yad'u hizbahu liyakunu min ashabis sa'ir. Shaitan does nothing more than simply call his party, and they will end up being the inhabitants of the fire. So we have two hizbs. One is the hizb of Allah, one is the hizb of Shaitan. Hizbullah will always be successful. Hizbul Shaitan will always be failing. Hizbullah is always on truth and going towards success. Hizbul Shaitan is always going towards the fire. Why is the party of Allah always going to win? Why is this Hizb of Allah always going to win? Because they are on Haqq, and Haqq will always win. 21:18. بل نقذف بالحق على الباطل فيدمغه فإذا هو زاهق. Indeed, Allah says, we hurl the truth against falsehood, and it crushes its head, and behold, falsehood vanishes. In other words, whenever Haqq and Batil go against one another, Haqq will always prevail. So to summarize, the true believers, the true mu'mineen, the true followers of Amirul Mu'mineen, they are the party of Allah and they will always be successful. قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. Surely the believers will always be successful. Why will they always be successful? Because everything will be in their support. وَلِلَّهِ جُنُودُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. For Allah there are the forces and troops and armies of the heavens and the earth. In other words, you go against Allah, you are not going to win. You go against God and the party of God, you go against Aimma, you go against true mu'mineen, true believers, you will not win. Maybe you will not see the victory immediately in this world, but definitely in the hereafter you will see the victory. So the party of Allah will always be successful, and the party of Allah is the party of Amirul Mu'mineen. And the party of Shaitan will always lose, because they only have this brief worldly life to squander away. They will have nothing of benefit in the hereafter. They will only have punishment and hellfire. Yeah, I think we'll stop there, inshallah. So that was actually the end of Baqiyatullah and wa khiyaratihi, and we have also covered wa hizbihi. And next time, inshallah, we will cover wa'ibati ilmihi. That is our next discussion, inshallah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.